All
Yeah.
right, so this is an example of uh, kind of a retaliatory bad review, and this was actually the first guest on a lake listing um, that basically wanted to extend and wanted to keep the price discounted for that extension. And based on it being the beginning of the summer, we told the guests that we would be happy to extend them, but we're not able to discount the price. Um, so they can either continue for another week or they can try to find another option. That apparently didn't sit too well with them. And that's one of the things they mentioned in the review. And what they also did, having been there for 2 weeks, there were some clear things that got damaged in the property. So it looks like they tried, there's a massage chair in the master bedroom, and apparently they tried to pull it out of the master bedroom into the living room. They caused a bunch of damages on the door, and paint needed to be repainted. They also had a paddle board that was damaged, and apparently one of the guests tried to dye their hair black and essentially had a lot of towels and sheets that ended up with black dye on them. So long story short, the guest was there for 2 weeks. We didn't agree to discounting the week extension. They had various damages that we, within a 14-day window, submitted on the resolution center. They initially denied that they made any paint scrapes. We had video evidence from the cleaners that cleaned the listing before they arrived that showed the condition of the property, and we had that as proof in the resolution center. They denied damaging the paddle board, which was basically, it had a big hole scraped in it where it doesn't float anymore. And so essentially, this is the result of the review. She leaves a 1-star review. Be careful with this rental. We extended the rental for a week when the nightly rate communicated was $17 more than the original rate. We got charged about $100 more due to seasonal change. When we asked, they could not stick at their promised rate, which is basically, what we told them. They ridiculously charged around $1,000 as reimbursement for damages that were already in the house when we moved in. House had some damages already, like paint scrapes, etc. They sent me pics asking for reimbursement. Their water sport item, paddleboard on the dock, had damages. There were low-grade tornado windows and thunderstorms that may have caused damage to it. We did not use it, but we were asked to pay $700 since we were at a proper at that time. They blamed us. They charged us for some stains and towels and mats, which have been gone if we're washed with some bleach. We pay cleaning fees for a reason. All these were reported after 10 days we vacated. We are spending so much time fighting these charges. So the whole basis of this review is, by using Chat GPT, we can kind of keep a lot of the heavy lifting off of our plate. So, and I'll put a link to this tool below the video as well as in the chat here. So this is a STR review removal assistant on Chat GPT. It's kind of a pre-programmed for us, and basically it walks us to, it's not only just for Airbnb, but also does the same thing for VRBO and Booking.com. And what it essentially helps us do is we upload certain information that they tell us to upload, and they basically create an argument by reviewing, in this example, Airbnb's policies for what qualifies as a regulatory review. And so if this happens to you, the first step is clicking on this link that I'm going to give to you to save. I always kind of save these links in my contacts on my phone. or on my desktop. That way, when it comes up, you have access to it. So you click on help me dispute a guest review. I need a step-by-step process for Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com. The starting out process is it gives you the option to choose Airbnb, VRBO, or Booking. Because this is Airbnb, we're going to click on Airbnb review removal. And this actually takes you to the Airbnb site on when you submit to request to have a review removed. And you can actually start the request by these links. And it's kind of like a template format, right? So you can choose which review you're referring to, and it walks you step by step. But before you go there, the best thing to do is it will tell you step by step what to do. So the first step is you gather this information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gather this information and you put it into the ChatGPT prompt down here. So what platform is it? What's the guest names? What's the reservation ID? The stay dates? What was the house rule or policy? The review text or screenshot. So a lot of this can be uploaded into ChatGPT. Once you enter that information, it will spit back out the argument or the actual text that you're going to use to fill out this form over here on disputing the review. Okay. And it's really just copying and pasting what they tell you to do. So I think I can refer to one I've already done to show you what I entered. Let's see here. Yeah, so this is one I did previously. And again, you basically start off by, and this was the information I put in, which includes the bad review that the guest wrote. You can attach screenshots. Like, it's very important to show the message thread of the communications with the guest to kind of offset what their their dispute is. And you basically then will get spit back out the actual the actual stuff that you need to copy and paste and put into the Airbnb form, right? So this gets spit out from ChatGPT. You want to let it know if it's your first attempt or your second attempt, so you can do it twice if you get turned down the first time. And then this basically is where you copy and paste and put this information directly into the Airbnb request form. And this is where it's extremely helpful, right? So we actually reference to Airbnb what part of the policy is being violated.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of makes the argument as to why it's not only we've given you the details, but we're also pointing to your part of the policy that causes this to be a retaliatory review and kind of justifies us requesting it to be removed. This is similar to the resolution center. They usually take about 48 hours to respond. In this example, this bad review I just went over, I think it took them about 3 days to respond back. The first thing you want to do before we even submit this form on the Airbnb format, it's very important to use this same information that you get from ChatGPT and write it on the review itself as a response. Okay, so this is the language that we used basically from ChatGPT as to the reason for the removal and pointing to Airbnb's review policy. But you want to use some of this language as well to respond to the review the bad review that was provided. So, when you get a bad review, you have the option to respond to it. So before you submit your request to Airbnb, make sure you've responded to the bad review so that it's on the listing, and you're basically pointing to the same logic that you are using in your request. And so this is the email that I got today, basically confirming from Airbnb that they are removing her bad review. After reviewing the details, we found Shalini's request didn't follow our review policy, so we removed it from the Airbnb platform. We've let Shalini know about the change, and they can't repost the review or write a new one. They may provide info that could lead us to reverse our decision, and we'll let you know if it happens. So it's doubtful that a guest will go through the trouble to do that. I also gave her a bad review. That's the damage she did to the door. Let me see if I can find the bad review. So yeah, so this is the review I gave her. So before you submit it, do two things: respond to her bad review on the listing, and also make sure that you give her a bad review that's consistent with your request. So when Airbnb gets these requests to remove a bad review, they're also using AI to basically check all these different things. And as long as those things are checking the box, that helps with your argument to get it removed. And so do the ChatGPT format, feed in the reservation information, a copy of the screen print of the messaging, copy of the bad review. It's going to spit back out the logic to use. Take that logic, use it as language to help respond to their bad review, and then also to give them a bad review, and then use that same copy and paste data that you get from the ChatGPT format to basically put it right into Airbnb's system, and then basically get it reviewed. So right now,
what is that? The chat GPT, the chat GPT. What is that? Is that something free?
yeah. So ChatGPT is artificial intelligence. It's similar to Google, right? And it is used for kind of automating and helping automate a lot of things. Like there's a part of our training that you can use ChatGPT to help with listing descriptions and listing titles by uploading pictures. But there is a subscription option. I think it's like $5 or $9 a month, something very reasonable. There is a free option as well. I think there's like a Get Plus here. So you can have it for free, or you can pay a monthly fee to get additional features. I think for what we're doing with it, you can kind of use the free version. But you can simply ask ChatGPT, I need help responding to a unhappy Airbnb guest that showed up to a unclean property. So you can use it for copywriting. You can use it for what I'm, removing guest reviews. So
I see.
So basically, within seconds, it spits back out this whole, option of you can copy and paste this and use that to respond to the guest. You can also be very specific. Please make this more casual, right? And so you can tweak it.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so for copywriting, it's extremely helpful. And it's got these tools like I'm talking about that are specific for things that are in our business. And so You can also use this to review a guest. You can also, so there's other different options here, but it's been very effective for basically using Airbnb's guidelines against them to help us be successful without having us to burn up a bunch of time, with that process, right? So, so I'm gonna be. I know some folks are just jumping on late. I'm gonna put this into our.
Give me that link. Give me that link. Give me that link that I'll put it in my
I
favorite.
got you. I got you. I got you. Yeah. So the link, I'm gonna copy and paste it and put it in the chat. I'm also gonna include it in the training modules online. Right. So everything I just covered on how to remove a bad guest review will be uploaded to our training in module 9, where we have different categories for different things. So those of you that have just jumped on, you can watch that replay. The link is in the chat. I would recommend saving that link because obviously, you don't know when you're going to get a bad review. Unfortunately, it is something that does happen with guests.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you get a bad review, if you have that link that I just put in the chat, save that link in your contacts and just, save it as a bad review and then put the URL in there so you know how to refer to it. And then that way you have access to it.
Yeah. I see now. I wasn't following you at first, and I say, okay, now after you just typed that, then it spit out the language that you more professional than you was than you talk to just like individual. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. So it's extremely helpful to save time and as well, just, in the olden days, like if I got a bad review like this, especially if it's a brand new listing, I'll still publicly reply to it. But when you get a 1-star review on Airbnb, there's a probationary period. Your listing will automatically be not shown in searches for up to as much as 14 days.
Right.
So what does that mean? For 14 days, you're even though it shows your listing is there, nobody can see your listing because you just got a bad review. So it's a smack to your business. And so when this happens, to be able to have a 48-hour window to dispute it and get it removed immediately, is tremendously valuable to pursue that.
Sure.
What I was going to say, in the old days, before I had the ability to do this, I would have to resort to closing that listing down, which would suck if it's maybe I have 4.8 as average reviews from other guest stays, and that one bad review screwed me up. Well, take that listing down and then basically recreate a whole brand new listing, start all over again from scratch. It would have been the alternative. Now,
right. So that way you can be on top again.
right, but in today's environment, Airbnb is also using AI to deter from people doing that and kind of circumventing the system. So the fact that we have ChatGPT there to help us to help dispute and using Airbnb's regulations to basically argue the reason why they should remove that review is tremendously productive for us, because then we can keep our listing intact and we can get it removed and keep it moving and not have an issue. So there will be some guests that just do retaliatory stuff. There's very clear guidelines on the reviews that if they're considered retaliatory, irrelevant, or doesn't follow the Airbnb content policy, then you can legally get it reviewed from the Airbnb listing.
Sure.
So,
yep, I got you.
So with that, I can open it up for questions. I know, again, a few of you guys just recently jumped on, but let me know if you have any general questions about that.
Sure. Appreciate it. Thanks, Rich.
Yep. So Emilio, I see you jumped on, and Dwayne as well. Did you guys have any questions?
Hey everyone. Hey Rich.
Hey, Bill.
So it's been a while since I've been on, so I'm just trying to play catch up in general. But I guess I'm getting the gist of today's starter that you I guess gave you a bad review. Use AI to and Airbnb to kind of turn that around. My thing with that is we were just looking into when I first came on with your program, I saw on your page you did an interview with a two young ladies that did damage protection, and they were saying that they were hosts as well. I'm not sure if you'll remember, because I actually had wanted to go back on and find that video to, enlist with them. But then another thing that happened since the months or the weeks that I haven't been on is weeks is that we've signed up now with Guest Pro. So we decided to that we're going to sign on with their damage protection program because they offer it as well. I think you're with Guesty, right, Rich?
Yes. Yes, I'm with Guesty.
Mm. So my thing with the damage protection and what caught my attention with that video that you have there on your page with the two, I don't know if you know the company that they're with, but they were saying that they were hosts as well. And what they saw mostly being reported by host is not, oh, someone slipped and fell by my pool kind of situation, but that, oh my God, the guests left and they damaged this, they took that, they, broke this. And instead of the back and forth with the guests and, running the risk of a bad review, that they just, I think is up to 500 or something like that dollar amount that you can just call it in, report it to them. They take care of it. You save the back and forth with the guests, save you and them the review process. Hopefully, still gain your 5 star, and everybody move on.
So
We
you,
re- we recently had kind of similar situation at our Tampa property where a guest, seemed very nice guest. To the end, still very nice guest, but it just two incidents that happened that left us with, what seemed to be minor to medium repair that we will have to look into when we get back to the property. But I think they had put like a hot dish or pot onto our table, and the cleaner sent us a photo that, it was like these two brown spots that just wouldn't go, even when they after cleaning. And then when they were exiting the property, somehow their vehicle damaged the bottom of our garage door. It still operates, but you can clearly see like at the bottom it's not, you know intact as it was originally. So me and my
mhm.
husband looking at each other like, okay, here's now when we wish we would have activated that, damage protection sooner. But now this initiates to us, confirms to us that we got to do it as soon as possible. So,
So they
I was twiddling thumb, like, do I go back and forth
just
with this girl? Do I just,
uh,
let it
uh,
go?
Milo, this
Yeah.
just sorry, just interrupting. So the customer come in and they pay this upfront?
So this damage protection that I initially heard on Rich's page, and I'm sure it's probably still there if you want to go back, but we decided we're gonna go with Guesty's because it's all tied in. And then what Guesty is saying to us is that you can, once you decide to take out the policy, you can have it be paid by the guests. So when you send them your initial invoice or your reservation order request, whatever, it will be there as a line item as, damage protection. Right. So they will be paying for it. So you don't have to pay for it. And then, of course, it'll be upfront known to them, to all, that, this protection is there. So whether they inquire about it or not, we will be protected in the future should these things arrive. And then we don't have to go to them. They don't have to be bothered with a process of, you damaged my door. What are we going to do now? You're nice enough, right? Because it was a nurse. She was graduating. So, you know, not rowdy people, very professional people. So it was a nurse graduation. It was peer space, and I believe even peer space, we could have went to them to reach out to collect damages. They allow for that, I believe. But again, trying to save that process of going through, you know, the back and forth, and then they just leave us a bad review, and then there we go climbing down from 5 star. And she ended up leaving me a very great review, and I always regardless of what. Trust me, it's not our first damage or loss. We've had to replace a $700 microwave, and again, all of our guests, damage or no damage, we've maintained 5 star review up to this moment. So I told my husband, I said, I think this is the way we're gonna have to go. We're just gonna have to suck it up, chew it up, bite it up, and give that 5 star regardless of what they say about us, that you know they're dogs, cats, rats, or in between. And let's be the bigger one, give the 5 star in hopes to get back the 5 star, because in essence this is what's going to pay us, right? And we can always kind of sort of try to recoup from that loss some way somehow. But how do we get back up from a 1, 2, 3, 4 star? I don't want to begin to even ask, because it's not like business is booming and we're 100% occupied. We are still trying to, stay afloat and stay ahead and keep climbing up. So we don't need to be in a back and forth with guests. So that's
And
what.
no, you bring up a great point. And so the example I just went through on removing that bad review was for that very reason.
Mm-hmm,
Partly was because I didn't do a discount for the second week, but the other part was because we had to do, because of the way Airbnb works, you have to request any damages from the guest first. And so most of her bad review here is talking about the damages that we required her or asked her to repair, even though Airbnb is going to reimburse us. We pissed her off so much that she gave us a 1 star review. With Wavo, with their damage protection process, it's exactly like you're talking about. It's like an insurance policy. Instead of, they don't require you to reach out to the guest. So in this same example where I had paint that needed to happen, I had a damaged paddle board from them screwing it up, and I had damaged towels and sheets, I would simply just file a claim with these guys and get reimbursed, and I don't even have to let the guests know it's an issue, right?
Right.
The other big thing is this also protects you with VRBO, Booking.com, and direct bookings that don't have the same protection like Airbnb.
Right.
Right. And so the way that the Wavo program works is you pass the cost on to each guest stay. So there's different tiers. You can do, I think, as low as maybe $20 and as high as maybe 50 that have different coverage levels. And the guests, you itemize that as a part of their, when they book, that they have to pay that extra $35, but it covers you up to a certain dollar amount for any damages, and it's more like an insurance policy. So I realize that you sounds like you're going to look at the Guesty. Guesty has a similar damage protection for the same things I just talked about. Just so that if you ever, I know you probably caught that on Facebook, but part of the replay vault in the training, like if you just search in the replay vault for damage, it'll pull up everything that I've done on damage protection. So Wavo, this is probably the one you're referring to, right?
It's on, oh, it was right. Kind of look like it's on your training. It's right. So I don't know if that was a Facebook interview you did with them, but
Okay.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
two
so you
young
did.
ladies and their host.
Yeah.
Is it Wavo? Is that their company,
Yeah,
Wavo?
it's Wavo.
Okay, right. And I knew they said up to a certain dollar amount, like you're explaining, right? It was a little while back that I looked at it, but it did caught my attention because at that point of looking at the video, we were already out for the $700 microwave and all these other stuff, and I said, you know what, this don't sound too bad, because I think it was another insurance out there, but Wavo also cover events, right? And I think there is one before is it hop? Oh.
I just put it up on the screen. Are you I guess you're on your phone.
Yeah, and is
Do you see it?
What's the other insurance carrier? Hog something?
Super Hog. Do
Super
you see it
Hog,
on the
right?
screen?
Yeah, I see it.
You're saying if this is
Yeah.
them?
Yeah. So I did a interview with them as well, and it's
Mhm.
also in the training.
But this is not Wavo. That's on the screen right now.
No, this is Wavo that's on the screen right now.
So who was the other two young ladies? Because it was two
This
young
one.
ladies.
This one, right?
Yeah. So is this Wavo the two young ladies?
Correct.
Right. Yeah. So this is the one. I remember it being two young ladies, and they were saying that they were hosts as well. So yeah, the one with the one young lady. That's which one? What's that? That's another damage protection.
Yeah, that's called Super Hog.
Oh yeah, Super Hog. Yeah, I was familiar with when I looked at Super Hog. I was already a bit familiar with Super Hog through Logify, and I
Mhm.
had a one-on-one consultation with Super Hog, and they confirmed to me that they didn't cover events.
Okay.
And at early on with our Tampa property, even to now, we get quite a bit. Like I said, like I mentioned, in this recent damage was from a peer space. It was a nurse. She was graduating from nursing school, and so we get quite a few events. So that was another thing that caught my attention with Wavo, if that's the name what you're mentioning to me. That they said they also do cover events. You know, events is
Yeah.
just not wild, crazy parties by teenagers. It's baby showers, engagement parties, 80th birthday parties for their grandparents. You know, and we get a lot of that. We get majority of that than these wild, crazy, teenagers or a mom or aunt or somebody that's booking in plans of the teenager showing up, because we've had that. And it's not the responsible person you've been chatting with behind the lines. So
Right.
so Wavo caught my attention with those two things from your training session, yes. But recently we realized that Guesty has their own kind of protection that would kind of fall along the lines of Wavo, or do you feel Wavo is a better option for us?
It's all the same product. It's really
Mhm.
not, it gives you the same results,
Yeah.
and it's just a matter of ease of use. And if you are, I have used the Guesty protection program as well.
Hmm.
It's all integrated together, and it's a seamless process. So,
Hmm.
but I also put, for those of the other of you that wanted to look into Wavo, I put the link in the chat.
Hmm.
If you wanted more details on
Yeah.
the product.
Yeah, I would if we didn't recently, and we just signed up with Guesty Pro. We're still going through the onboarding with them, so we're still not officially signed on to their damage protection as well, but we're going to be doing that. But yeah, I would recommend it to anyone on the group who would. I mean, because that's just my personal take on it. I'm just not going to go back and forth with the guests, and and I think I mentioned to Rich before in the past. I just kid handle my guests with such, white gloves, kid gloves, whatever you want to call it, that I don't care what I'm not going to get into that with you. I'm not just not, you're going to be right about everything. Yeah. The house smelled like dogs, and we don't own dogs, and there wasn't a dog in there. Okay, it smelled like dog. What could I do to help? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just not. I've decided, and I told my husband, I said, this is the way I feel like we gotta go, because it's, to me, like it'll be like a no-winning situation. Or, I mean, I'm glad for you that, and of course you have your expertise where you were able to rectify this matter and get Airbnb on your side. But I'm looking like very slim to none would we come out the winner, because you got to remember these guests pay Airbnb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've heard situations where they side more with the guests than they do with the host. So I just don't want to have us to be in that situation. So I said the way for us to go is just to get, the Wavo way or whatever it is that Guesty's offering, and just suck it. We've sucked up already, and we'll just continue this way. But now we'll have where they're paying for it up front, and where it won't be as painful to them. No, everybody's just happy to show up and have a good time. So nobody's probably hopefully thinking about, oh, why is this $20 fee on here, and
Yeah.
what do I need it for? Then
Yeah.
when
It's
they
a path,
leave,
yeah, it's
right?
a path of least resistance. So that I totally
Yeah,
agree.
so that way when they leave and it's damaged, I could just say, "Oh, well, have a good one. Come back again. Thank you. I'll fix my damaged door." So
Okay.
yeah, so that's my take on it. I don't know if anyone else have anything to share.
Yeah.
Well, I totally agree. So yeah. That's a good way to handle it.